Happy Friday. You guys, I feel like things are opening up. I really do. And when I say things are opening up, I don't necessarily mean that lists are opening up. But I think we had like 4 adoptions slash matches slash baby borns this week, which was incredible. It was probably the most activity I've seen in a week in a very long time. So here's what I'm hoping is going to be happening soon. I'm hoping what's going to happen is as there's more and more action going on, more and more placements happening, and more people are getting matched and making placements, that lists will start opening up back again. That's my hope. But people are calling and we're still telling people we don't know what's going to happen when it comes time for you to apply to agencies. That's just the harsh reality. The other thing that you have to consider, because we're working a little bit different now. Typically, we would only have you sign up with agencies whose stats were great and who had, like less people waiting on their list than the number of placements they do a year. I'm sorry if I keep looking back. My dog is sniffing and it's making me really nervous. So typically we would just really be selective in the places that we had you sign up with. Right now, it's about getting on any list that you possibly can to even have a chance of seeing situations. We're just doing things a little bit differently. That said, we're telling people that we don't even know for sure if you'll have lists to sign up with when it comes time for you to join, when you are ready to do that. Sorry, I'm so distracted. She was sleeping for hours and she just woke up. So I'm hopeful things are going to be opening up. But the other thing to consider as you are looking for lists to sign up with is your age. Some agencies have a restriction on age. Typically it's going to be 50 or under. I've seen some 45 and under. Some people say a combined age of 100. There might be a faith statement with some agencies. Faith-based agencies who want a statement from your church or your place of worship. We don't work with a lot of those, but we've come across some. The other thing is what your criteria is. More and more places are needing families open to all races and drug exposure. We're still seeing opioid exposure as the most common thing. We're seeing a rise in fentanyl. So do your research. Now, somebody, interestingly today, I was talking to a family who's been with an agency for years with nothing, not much to talk about. And it's so sad to me because now they're in the 50s, but she said that their agency asks every expectant mother who's making a plan about the age that they want their hopeful adoptive parent to be. That is not a common practice, I don't think. They ask what criteria they're looking for, and they're typically going to ask an expectant mother, are you open to a same-sex couple? Are you open to all races? Are you open to people who live anywhere? Things like that. But typically the age thing isn't really talked about because when a profile is shown, an expectant mother is going to kind of fall in love with who she falls in love with. Typically an expectant mother is going to choose you based on your profile alone. And most likely your age is not going to be in there. We're dealing with a teenage pregnancy this week. Teenagers can sometimes be all over the place, especially if they're not getting the counseling that they so desperately need leading up to the birth. Listen, it's very common once you give birth, you literally are producing hormones in your body to make you attached to that child. So it is common that expectant mothers who make an adoption plan struggle. And with teenagers, it's heightened even more. So we've been dealing with that back and forth, and that's been a little excruciating. And then the whole issue of trusting your gut. So very interestingly, when it rains, it pours, right? So you might not have seen situations for months, and then all of a sudden, when you're very busiest at work, or when you're traveling on a business vacation, or when you're taking a vacation, all of a sudden you get like all these situations sent to you where you need an immediate response, right? So that happened to a client of mine, and the first one she was sent was a baby born. You never want to pass up a baby born because it's almost a sure thing, right? You're at the least amount of risk for losing money, and at the least amount of risk for something emotionally. And if you can make it happen quickly, you pretty much want to say yes to a baby born situation. So a family of mine who had a previous failed adoption was presented a baby born situation. But there were some issues with it that were really triggering to her. And she was struggling so much because she wants to be a mom and she didn't want to pass up a baby born situation. And we had to really talk it through and the pros and cons and what was coming up for her. And she passed. And that's hard to get out of your mind when something is like, and because she had a failed already, she was at the top of the list to be one of the only ones presented. Well, wouldn't you know, a situation came to her the following day that felt perfect. So ultimately, she trusted her gut. Now, I don't know if she's going to get chosen or what, but when it rains, it pours sometimes. You have to be ready for anything, and ultimately, you need to trust your gut. If something is just feeling not right, then trust that. If it's just a matter of being scared, push that aside. You are gonna be scared. And nothing is going to feel 100% right. But if there's just something nagging at you that feels like you just don't know if you can get past something, trust that. Trust that. And pass it up because the right match will come to you. Those were some of the things that came up this week. So I hope that things are opening up. I am seeing more activity, which is phenomenal. Trust your gut. Teenagers go back and forth a lot. They need counseling, extra counseling. Thanks for joining in today. All right, talk to you later. Have a wonderful weekend. I hope that it's nice and sunny and the perfect temperature wherever you are.